All right, hello everybody. So we are going to do an update about my Coinbase experience. Let me just make sure everything is live. It looks like we are live. So, okay, quick rundown. I tried to buy something. I wanted to get a Bobcat helium miner to compare against my Rack V2. I placed a purchase. Took an incredible amount of time to even fund the account. If you buy USDC on Coinbase, it takes 7 days from the time that you've given them your money until they acknowledge that you have USDC that can be transferred. I wait the 7 days, try to buy, and then get a notice that they are going to hold my transaction for an additional 3 days because they suspect fraud. This is despite the fact of authenticating with two-factor authentication. And then I, as you'll see from my phone log, called the very next day to try to fix it. So here are my lessons learned. Don't use Coinbase. If you're going to buy any sort of a miner or do any sort of a transaction, I cannot personally recommend. This is my personal opinion about my personal experience first time trying to buy something using cryptocurrency. One, in general, my advice is if they say they require cryptocurrency as payment, move on with your life and don't do it. Number two, if you absolutely feel that you must have that product and the only way to buy it is using cryptocurrency, I cannot personally, based on my personal opinion and experience, I couldn't recommend Coinbase. So this started February 14th of me trying to, actually you have to go 7 days previous. So somewhere around February 7th, I tried to buy, realized I had to wait another 7 days, and then on February 14th, I tried to purchase through Bobcat Miner. Get the notice that they're holding my money for 3 days, and you'll see here early in the morning I tried to fix the situation, and if you look up that number on the top, you will see that that is the Coinbase support number, and I spent 9 minutes with a representative trying to fix the problem, of which they were not helpful and could not fix the issue and gave me bad advice. What was the bad advice they gave me? They said, just wait the 3 days and everything will be fine. That's not true. So number two, if you're buying something with cryptocurrency and you get a notice that they have flagged your transaction as being potentially fraudulent, you need to immediately cancel the payment, because what's going to happen in my experience is that the vendor on the other end is expecting the money, and in all likelihood, just like Bobcat did, they will close out the order because they weren't paid. So Coinbase held the transaction for 3 days. Bobcat Miners, and once again, I have to say this is through no fault of Bobcat Miners, and because of the actions of Coinbase, Bobcat and myself had to go to an incredible amount of trouble to complete the transaction. So Coinbase did a terrible job of facilitating the transaction. So as you can see, I made every effort to fix the issue. I did the two-factor authentication, which should have been all I needed to do. Then when I noticed there was a problem, I tried to call Coinbase, and still that did nothing. So why is this upsetting to me? Because I was supposed to do a whole series of testing videos. I was going to do different testing videos with different antenna combinations. I have a lot of pretty cool testing we can do at this house because it's a 3-story condominium, and so essentially we have the antenna on what would be the beginning of the 4th floor because it's in the attic on the 3rd floor, which basically makes it the beginning of the 4th floor. We live in a valley, and we actually have some pretty incredible distances we're communicating with our antenna. As far as so far, I think it was like almost 20 kilometers away. So I wanted to do some testing of how does a Rack V2 test against the Bobcat 300, and that's why we all started this. So my recommendation, 2 of them, is I personally, based on my own personal opinion and my own personal experience, would not use Coinbase. Bobcat was fantastic. Bobcat, because of Coinbase failing to transfer the money in a timely fashion, Bobcat had to go to a lot of trouble. Maybe somebody can leave in the comments exactly what happened here. So there was an order opened and placed. It was canceled because of lack of payment, and then the money was still sent off by Coinbase off into the ether. So maybe somebody who has a thorough understanding of cryptocurrency can tell me, when money is sent off to a party and there's no longer an order associated with it, where did that money actually go? Is that still in the possession of Coinbase? Is it in the possession of the vendor but not associated with any order? I'm really curious about that because even today, I still see the money as like in my account as a pending transaction. So we're still not technically done, although I have a valid order number from Bobcat, and that was thanks to Daphne. Daphne over at Bobcat is excellent. That's one of the people in the support department, and Daphne did a incredible job of straightening this out and fixing it, and spent a lot of time to make it correct. And so I can say Bobcat is a great company. They were caused a lot of trouble by Coinbase, and so I'm going to leave my Coinbase account open until I see that money disappear, and then I'll be closing Coinbase and figuring something else out. So I wanted to wrap it up because after day 2 in the evening, or maybe it was the next day, Daphne got back to me. And so the process of actually being able to associate the money with an order, and she had to create a new order number. And so now everything's going to be good. So I wanted to give a summary about what happened and do a little lesson learned. Most important lesson is if they ever flag your crypto transaction, you need to immediately cancel the payment. Call the company, tell them you need, I guess you'd have to contact the cryptocurrency vendor and say, I did mean to make that transaction. I'm going to place a new order, cancel this one, and then see. I don't even know what you could do. I'd be really curious if I placed another order, would Coinbase flag it again? I don't want to give them any more money to test it, but I'd be curious if that's exactly what they would do. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up right there. In general, I wouldn't recommend crypto. I think you're way better off using a standard credit card. Standard credit card gives you purchase protection over cryptocurrency. In cryptocurrency, you're just at the goodwill of the company. So fortunately, Bobcat is a stand-up company, and they did everything they could to make it right, and they did make it right. I have an order number now, but I would much rather have used a Visa or any other form of payment, because then I could always do a chargeback. And if I didn't get my product, I wasn't satisfied with the product, there was fraud with the product, you're going to get your money back instantaneously. So that's my summary of buying something with cryptocurrency. I personally wouldn't do it. And we'll wrap it up there so I don't just keep going in circles. Everybody have a great day. Hopefully the Bobcat will ship in I'm hoping a few weeks. It could be many, many, many weeks, but I'd like to get those testing videos started as soon as possible. We're going to try to do a directional antenna. I have a very interesting location where we can hear. We have a like a subway basically, except it's above ground subway, and we can hear it from about 5 miles away. So I'm really curious, if I send a directional antenna down that same kind of valley where the sound comes from, if sound waves will travel 5 miles, I'm wondering if my radio waves will travel 10 miles down that direction, and that would allow me to hit a major city and even cities beyond that with radio broadcasts. So I'm curious to see how a directional antenna in our very unique, we have very unique acoustics where we live, and I'm hoping that'll translate also to very long radio transmissions and hopefully a lot of profitable helium mining. Everybody have a great day. Let me do a real quick summary of where we're at. The cryptocurrency market has gotten hammered because of the world events, but we are currently sitting at $120.61, and that is substantially, had everything gone correctly and we hadn't had the world events that we currently have going on, the 120 would have been a lot more money at this point. So the one thing that's interesting is my, what would you call it? It is the transmission scale. I was originally at 1.0 and now I'm down to 0.86. It was as low as 0.77, maybe even lower. So Everybody can leave in the comments if you've noticed that your transmission scale was reduced substantially. When I look at all the units around me, it seems like their transmission scale was also reduced. I'm curious if Helium is saving money by reducing everybody's transmission scale so they don't have to pay as much on the basically the different things that the Helium miner does, the witnessing and doing the challenges, and then also the data. So anyway, everybody, please leave in the comments if you noticed that over the last week or two, your transmission scale went down by about 15% from 1.0 to like 0.86 or even lower. Everybody have a good night. Let me get out of here. And